The wind whispered through the abandoned corridors of the old mansion. Shadows stretched across cracked walls as the last rays of sun slipped away. Eleanor stepped cautiously, her footsteps echoing like distant drums. Every creak of the wooden floor made her heart tighten. A musty smell filled the air, a mixture of dust and forgotten memories. She ran her fingers along the cold, chipped railing, feeling the chill seep into her bones. In the distance, a faint ticking sound echoed. It was slow, deliberate, and strangely rhythmic, like a heartbeat in the darkness. Eleanor turned a corner and found a room sealed with a heavy wooden door. The hinges were rusted, but the door groaned under her touch. Inside, a single candle flickered, casting elongated shapes on the walls. The air was thick, as if it had not been disturbed for decades. A table sat in the center, covered in yellowed papers and old photographs. Her eyes focused on a small, locked box, ornate and strangely inviting. The keyhole seemed to glimmer in the dim candlelight. She could feel a pull, a force she could not explain, urging her to open it. The sound of the ticking grew louder, matching the rhythm of her quickened pulse. Eleanor hesitated, her hand hovering over the box. The air around her felt heavier, almost alive, pressing against her chest. A faint whisper, like the rustle of dry leaves, brushed against her ear. She drew a deep breath and turned the key slowly, the lock groaning in protest. Inside the box lay a small, folded letter, brittle and stained with age. The handwriting was elegant, yet hurried, as if the writer had been desperate. She unfolded it, and the words seemed to crawl off the page, pulling her in. The letter spoke of events long forgotten, secrets buried by generations. It described actions no one dared mention, truths hidden behind smiles and polite nods. Eleanor felt a shiver run down her spine as she read each line. The mansion around her seemed to pulse, as if aware of the revelations being uncovered. A sudden draft extinguished the candle, plunging her into darkness. The ticking stopped abruptly, replaced by a heavy silence that pressed against her eardrums. She sensed a presence, close yet unseen, watching her every move. The walls themselves seemed to breathe, their cracks twisting into shapes that felt alive. Eleanor stepped back, the letter clutched tightly in her hands. Her vision adjusted to the dim light seeping through broken windows. On the floor, shadows began to stretch unnaturally, reaching toward her. A whisper floated from the walls, more insistent this time, calling her name. She realized the secret in her hands was not just words on paper. It was a living memory, a force that waited patiently for the right moment. Time itself had held it, guarding it until now. And in this very instant, it chose to reveal itself fully. The air grew colder, biting at her skin. The shadows moved faster, encircling her, pressing closer. Eleanor could hear the soft sigh of the house, like it was breathing her in. Her heart pounded, matching the rhythm of something unseen, ancient, and relentless. She wanted to drop the letter, to run, to escape, yet she could not. The revelation had anchored her, binding her to the truth. A faint glow emerged from the letter, illuminating symbols she had never seen. They twisted and shifted, forming shapes that seemed alive, watching her back. The mansion groaned, a sound that was both sorrowful and warning. The walls seemed to close in, the ceiling lowering imperceptibly. Eleanor felt the air thicken, as if time itself had slowed around her. The secret was not content to remain hidden any longer. A voice, ancient and low, echoed from the darkness. It spoke directly into her mind, bypassing her ears entirely. The words were clear, yet incomprehensible, unraveling her sense of reality. She realized the truth was not meant to be understood all at once. Her vision blurred, the room stretching and folding in impossible ways. The ticking resumed, louder and faster, now a drum of inevitability. Every shadow, every whisper, every chill was converging on a single point. Eleanor understood then that the secret was alive, and it had chosen her. The ticking grew deafening, vibrating through Eleanor's chest. Her knees shook, but she could not move, could not drop the letter. It seemed to hum with life, pulsing with a rhythm older than memory. Each pulse sent a shiver through her, like invisible fingers tracing her spine. The shadows coalesced into shapes, vague at first, then sharp and terrifying. They were human-like, distorted, but their eyes glowed with unnatural light. They moved in unison, circling her, their presence suffocating. The air smelled of cold iron and decay, clinging to her lungs. The letter began to tremble in her hands, pages rustling as if alive. Words lifted off the paper, glowing faintly, floating around the room. They formed images, memories not her own, flashing through her mind. She saw faces screaming silently, hands reaching, struggling, pleading. A voice rose above the whispering, harsh and commanding. It was not one voice, but many, layered, echoing from everywhere at once. Time has chosen you, it said. You carry what must be revealed. Her skin prickled, as if each word carved itself into her consciousness. The candlelight returned, flickering violently, casting long, writhing shadows. The walls now pulsed as if they were throbbing veins, alive with anticipation. Eleanor felt the room shrink around her, closing in like a coffin. Her pulse raced, matching the erratic rhythm of the letters in the air. The glowing words merged into a single shape, forming a key. It hovered above the letter, rotating slowly, impossibly precise. Her hand reached out, trembling, but an invisible force stopped her. The voice whispered again, "You must choose. To open is to witness fully." Her heart screamed for her to flee, yet she could not. The secret had found her, and there was no escape. With trembling fingers, she touched the glowing key. Instantly, the mansion seemed to inhale, pulling her into darkness. Time fractured. Seconds stretched into eternities. The shadows no longer circled her, they merged into a wall of watching eyes. The walls of the mansion dissolved into mist, revealing visions beyond reality. She saw centuries pass, generations of people guarding this hidden truth. Each vision struck her like a thunderclap. A child hiding in fear, a soldier whispering secrets, a scholar writing warnings. All had touched this secret and been consumed, yet it endured. And now it had chosen her, as it had chosen them. Her own memories began to twist and fracture. Faces she knew appeared, distorted, their eyes empty and accusing. Voices called her name from familiar places, each syllable laden with warning. She tried to scream, but no sound escaped her throat. The letter exploded into 1,000 glowing fragments, swirling around her. They cut through the air like shards of glass, embedding themselves in the shadows. Each fragment carried a story, a memory, a confession long hidden. Eleanor realized that these were not just secrets, they were sins, regrets, and truths too powerful to remain buried. A sudden clarity struck her, sharp and unbearable. The mansion had never been empty. It had lived for centuries, a guardian of knowledge too dangerous to be free. Every creak, every whisper, every shadow had been a warning. The walls bent around her, folding like paper, revealing an endless void. At the center floated a figure, indistinct yet terrifyingly human. Its eyes were hollow, but Eleanor felt its gaze pierce her soul. It extended a hand, beckoning her closer, promising revelation. Fear and curiosity warred within her. Every instinct screamed to run, yet her feet moved forward of their own accord. The void seemed to pulse with anticipation, a heartbeat matching her own. Each step brought a wave of nausea and vertigo, as if reality itself resisted her approach. The figure spoke, its voice echoing inside her mind. Every secret has a time. Every truth waits. You have arrived at the appointed moment. Eleanor's hands shook as she raised the fragments of the letter toward it. The fragments converged into a glowing sphere, spinning faster and faster. Suddenly, a memory not her own erupted into her mind. A man, centuries past, had discovered the same secret and vanished. A woman, desperate and alone, had screamed into the night, unheard. The sphere seemed to consume their stories, the despair, adding weight to the revelation. The figure stretched its hand toward her, and she felt a pull, not physical, but spiritual. The pull dragged her toward the heart of the secret itself. The world around her dissolved further, leaving only darkness and whispers. Her own thoughts scattered, replaced with knowledge she was not ready to bear. Images flooded her mind, cities burning, empires falling, innocents hiding truths. Every era had been shaped by the things hidden in shadows. And now, the weight of all these centuries pressed upon her. She realized the secret was not merely information, it was power, dangerous and eternal. Her body trembled violently as if it knew it was no longer her own. Time bent, folded, and fractured around her, dragging her consciousness through history. She saw herself in different eras, touching the same letter, confronting the same figure. Every choice led to revelation, and every revelation came with unbearable consequence. The sphere began to shrink, pulling everything toward a single point. Eleanor felt herself drawn in, her mind screaming against the inevitability. The shadows of the mansion coalesced, forming a vortex of unseen energy. The fragments of the letter aligned, forming a pattern older than the earth itself. A voice, singular now, deep and resonant, filled the void. You carry the weight of centuries. You have seen what time has preserved. Eleanor felt herself teeter on the edge of comprehension, understanding too much. The secret demanded acknowledgement, demanded recognition, demanded surrender. Her mind struggled to contain the revelations, to resist the pull. The figure reached out, its form blurring, becoming the void itself. The air vibrated with energy, a pressure that was both physical and mental. She realized that once fully revealed, the secret could not be unseen, could not be forgotten. The ticking returned, slower now, deliberate and heavy. Each tick resonated through her bones, matching the rhythm of her racing heart. The sphere hovered just before her eyes, a condensed core of all hidden truths. She reached out, trembling, knowing that touching it would change everything. The shadows pressed closer, the void thickened, and the figure's gaze locked on her. Eleanor's vision blurred, but she saw it clearly now. The secret was not evil, nor kind. It was simply inevitable, patient, waiting for time to decide when it must emerge. She realized that she had become a part of its timing, a vessel for the moment of revelation. The sphere pulsed, brighter and brighter, illuminating the endless darkness. Her hand touched it, and the world seemed to shatter. Memories, histories, and truths poured into her mind in a flood she could not contain. Her body trembled, her mind screamed, yet she understood everything at once. The mansion, the void, the shadows, they were all the secret's manifestation. Time had chosen her to witness it fully, and she could not escape its grasp. The fragments of the letter dissolved into her consciousness, binding her to the revelation. She was now the keeper, the witness, the conduit for the truths that time had preserved. Eleanor stood in the silence that followed the storm of revelations. The mansion had returned to its stillness, the shadows now resting in corners. The glowing sphere in her hands dimmed, settling into a steady, calm light. She felt the weight of centuries lift, leaving only quiet understanding. The air no longer pressed against her, the darkness receded like a tide. She looked around the room, seeing it for what it truly was, a vessel for time's secrets. The walls were cracked and old, but they no longer seemed alive. The whispers had vanished, leaving only the echo of her own breath. Eleanor placed the sphere carefully on the table. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, but it no longer demanded her attention. She realized the secret did not belong to her alone. It had existed before her, and it would continue long after she was gone. A sense of calm settled over her, deep and unexpected. She understood that revelation was not a curse, but a responsibility. The knowledge she had gained was heavy, but it was a gift, a glimpse into the workings of time itself. The mansion, once a place of fear, now felt like a sanctuary, holding the truths she could finally respect. Eleanor walked to the window, the night outside clear and quiet. Stars glittered above, distant and patient, witnessing the passage of countless years. She felt the flow of time around her, steady and inevitable. And she understood that some secrets are not meant to harm, but to wait for the moment they must be known. She took a deep breath, letting the cool night air fill her lungs. The past and the future seemed to hum softly, in rhythm with her own heartbeat. Eleanor knew she would carry the memory of the secret forever. And yet, she felt no fear, only respect for the time that had chosen this moment. Slowly, she left the room, closing the heavy door behind her. The mansion settled into silence once more, holding its secrets until the next appointed time. Eleanor stepped out into the night, her mind calm, her spirit steady. The world outside felt ordinary, yet she knew it was shaped by forces unseen, waiting patiently to be revealed. As she walked away, she realized the greatest secret of all. Time reveals itself not in chaos, but in moments of quiet inevitability. And those who witness it must learn to honor it, to carry it forward without fear. Eleanor understood that she had been chosen not by chance, but by the enduring rhythm of time itself. The night stretched endlessly, peaceful yet profound. Somewhere, deep in the shadows of the old mansion, the secret waited again. Patient, eternal, silent, and Eleanor walked on, forever changed, carrying a story that only time could have unveiled.